Greetings, friends. This is my first video devotion back after being away for family holidays in the month of July. And even though I didn't post a video last week, I'll try to keep these regular now and post one every week through August. And then as we look forward to the fall, both Pastor Steve and I will be putting our thoughts up here, hopefully every week. It always feels good to come back. To come back after a time of family holidays, to come back to the city, to come back to our house, which is just over there, and also in a special way to come back into this room. This is a special room. The sanctuary. The sanctuary of Grace Lutheran Church has been a focal point of our existence as a congregation since it was built, since the very beginning. A sanctuary means safe place or place of refuge. But if you look really closely, there's some details in the room that remind us that this is not as safe a place as it once was. The tape reminds us to keep our distance from each other. It reminds us that gathering in this room actually right now, rather than being a safe place, is a bit of a risk. I find this really interesting and thought-provoking actually today. Because if we've sought physical sanctuary here in this building, and now it's a place of risk, where else in the world can we find the safety that we're looking for? We know that we have spiritual sanctuary in the Scriptures. There are many passages in the Bible which comfort us, which remind us that in God's presence we are safe, we are in His care. For instance, at the end of Romans chapter 8, there's a famous passage about how nothing can separate us from God's love. Not heights, nor depths, nor angels, nor demons, nor anything else in all of creation can separate us from His love. So we know that we have ultimate sanctuary in God's presence wherever we go in the world. No matter if we're in a safe country or a dangerous one, no matter if we're in a safe room or a dangerous one, no matter if we're healthy or we're sick, we're always in God's care. But where can we look for physical sanctuary these days? If not in a building and a room like this one, where can we go to look for physical sanctuary? Throughout the pandemic, we've heard that the safest place is to be at home, and to be in your own house or wherever it is that you live, surrounded maybe by the very few immediate family that you live with. What's your family cohort sanctuary been like lately? I wonder, just as the room here that I'm sitting in has been invested in over the years, and it's been even adorned with beautiful stained glass, like the stuff that you see behind me, and all of the furnishings of the sanctuary. I wonder if this time of isolation and quarantine and during this pandemic can be a time to adorn and to invest in the family cohorts that we all enjoy for sanctuary lately. Perhaps even to do a project around your house that makes your house a more livable space, or even a more worshipful space. I want to encourage you to build your sanctuary, to invest in the safe place that God has kept you in this last few months, and to think about your sanctuary as a place of worship as well. We've been continuing to send you thoughts and encouragements from this sanctuary, but really your own sanctuary, your home sanctuary, is the one which matters these days. I have one more thought to offer you today in this train of thought. I started by thinking about the way that the sanctuary used to be a place of refuge, but now it's a place of risk. But actually there's something interesting in that for me today too. As we come into God's presence, do we think about God's presence as a place of safety or as a place of risk? Can it be both? Can God's presence in our lives both comfort and challenge us at the same time? When you come into the sanctuary now, as some people are doing on Sundays, about 25 or so people have been worshiping here, you acknowledge that you're taking a risk, and that's why we've been wearing masks. We've been making a real conscious effort to sanitize our hands and to sanitize the surfaces that we touch. But we know that coming here is a little bit of a risk. Can we think of that risk also in spiritual terms? When we come into God's presence and we offer our lives, when we recognize His lordship in our lives and His authority in that He calls us to be His disciples, do we recognize the risk involved with that? That just as Jesus said, those who seek to save their lives will lose them, and those who lose their lives for his sake will find them, do we recognize the risk of coming into God's presence that we might actually lose our lives or lose what we assume might have been our lives or our safe place? The point is, God knows what we need. He knows our ultimate needs, and he may cause us to change in his presence. The risk of change is a wonderful risk to take. And so I encourage you to take the risk of offering your life, of allowing God to steer your life, and even of losing your life for the sake of Jesus and the kingdom that he's bringing and building in you. May God bless you this week, and I look forward to seeing you again sometime soon, whenever that might be.